Technology is always evolving. Some of the technologies we had back in the day don't even exist anymore, or they have evolved throughout the times. I decided to sit down with my grandpa, Richard Harding, to discuss the topic of technology. Being born in 1945, he has seen firsthand the evolution of technology from a black and white television to the 4K ultra televisions we have nowadays. He also had a career as an engineer technician and experienced the evolution of technology that way as well.
What was considered technology when you were growing up?
When I was growing up, technology was like a black and white TV, which was connected to an antenna. We had a telephone, which was a party line, which meant that neighbors could pick up their phone and listen in, which wasn't a good thing. Slide rule, which was used to do math problems.
What was the first item of technology you owned growing up?
One of the first items that I had as a child growing up was a black and white TV. There was no color TV at that time.
What type of technology did you work with as an engineer technician when you first started?
When I started was back in, I'd say about 1960s. At that time, we had manually operated machinery, like a milling machine, lathe, or grinder, which was used to machine medical device prototypes. And all these parts that we machined, we had to make drawings, and we would do this all by hand with a drawing board, pencil, and paper.
How has the technology in your field evolved from that point in time?
And the machinery now can be controlled with a computer program to run the equipment. The drawings now, instead of doing it on the drawing board, you use a computer, which allows drawings to be made much faster and easier, and they can be modified easily if you want to change something without going back and erasing and redrawing.
So now that you discussed your past, I want to ask you some questions about the future of technology and where technology is at today, just to get your perspective on it.
Do you own any of today's technology?
Yes.
What types?
Or I have a computer, an iPad, a flip phone, flat screen TV, Blu-ray player.
What do you think of today's technology?
I think it's good. You can research information online rather than looking it up in books. You can make calls on your cell phone from almost anywhere. If you need any assistance or have any questions, a lot more convenient than other methods. It's portable and it's really good for a lot of research.
What do you think of the implementation of technology into schools and like the education system today?
I think it's great.
Do you think it's more beneficial towards students to have the computer and read off their screens, or do you think they should be, learning how to write on paper or learning how to read with a book and not like...
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think you got to have the ability to write it longhand, but it's still a good tool. And I don't, as far as computers and that, I think it's good to even put it on the computer too. I think you got to have both.
Does the idea of robots kind of ruling the world in a way scare you?
That scares me because you got to have people with knowledge to be able to do this. If something happens to the systems, or if however they're operated, whether they're electric, battery operated, or whatever, if something goes down, you got to have people to be able to do this manually. You can't rely strictly on robots.
Yeah. So what do you think about the self-driving cars becoming the norm, and even just electric cars?
Yeah, self-driving, I think there's a future for that if they can make it foolproof, because it can possibly be better than people driving, making errors themselves, where if it's programmed and if it's up to speed the way it should be, then I think it's a good thing.
Self-driving cars were mainstream right now. Do you think you would own one?
Probably at this point in my life, at my age and everything, I don't know if I would get into it.
Would you trust it? If that was what everyone was driving right now, would you trust it?
I would definitely trust it. Right. If that's the technology nowadays and everyone was doing that, I wouldn't have a problem using it now.
What do you think about money being all on your phone, your credit cards on your phone and you just do like Apple Pay, or just like pay through the thing on your phone and you don't have like a physical copy?
I'm not for that, only because you lose perspective on how much money you're actually going through when you're buying something. To pay it with cash, you don't. That's not just signing for $100,000.
Where do you think technology will be like 30 years in the future? Do you think like we'll continue to be like innovative, or do you think they'll be like we'll have so much innovation that we'll just kind of like stop?
No,
And-
I don't think it'll ever stop. That's an ongoing thing. I mean, if you would have, like going back 50 years ago, people didn't think you'd have cell phones that you use the phone here, or the computers that carry with you. And so now technology will never stop. That'll be an ongoing, continuous thing, and I think it should be.